The breakout from the river crossing is in full swing now. A few interesting things have happened. The first is these 3 units are Tavingtons that he has pulled back from the town area over to the left side of the map. I have a few units here that I'm trying to hold him up with. What I don't want him to be able to do is to link up with the retreating forces in this area. And you notice that they're kind of retreating all across the line here, and we're able to chase them up onto that hill. That'll probably be in the next segment of the video. In the triangle itself, again, they're being much more aggressive. This was a really bad play from my part. These are SK's 2 units that are getting shot up, and I was late moving in to adopt a flanking position here. That cost SK a unit or 2 that he otherwise would have been glad to have. This is the right play from this team, though, because if we're pushing, over to the left, then they're counterattacking on the right. It's exactly what you'd expect from a handful of good players who know what they're doing. That's what you'd expect. Triphammer, again, still flirting with the idea of trying to cross there. That is an uncertain game. And all the characters over there play it really cool. The advance up the hill, let me try to show you what's going on. So this is holding the force that came from the town. And let me spin around to give you a look at this. These are Prussian Prince and Tavington retreating to the lip of the hill here. And I'm going to kick you into fast forward till we get to a point where I want to show you this whole section of the battle. This is really, really critical. But I'm going to try to get you there a little bit faster. What we've done right now, at least my team, is we have successfully split their army in half. We have isolated this bit of units from everybody else. You would think that that is a really good spot for us because it will theoretically let us destroy those series of units. What we failed to appreciate going into it is just how worn down Riskard's army was, because he'd been involved in 2 bottleneck crossings already. He was hurting, and my army was pretty hurting too, because I'd fought through that center triangle area, and then SK was hurting pretty bad because he'd been assisting us with that the whole way. And then the other thing that we didn't really appreciate is just how healthy Prussian Prince's army was. You can see that this is Prince and Tavington occupying the hill position, and our guys are trying to fight back up it. From a micro sense, I do have a smart thing going on. I have 1 unit that's able to wrap around the back, which is forcing them to pull back. And this assault goes pretty well for us in the early going. And our whole team was really, really optimistic right about now. We kind of felt that we should be able to destroy this detachment of units. And if we could destroy this detachment of units, then the game would be over pretty soon. Because then we just have to turn right and walk down the other side of the map. Everything is going pretty well for us right until you see these 2 units right here. These 2 guard units, a Coldstream and a Foot Guard, come over this direction. And this is the play of the game. The Prussian Prince is the play of the game right here. I mean, we've got flanking fire on these guys, and a unit of Cav would have been really nice because we could have just charged up those lights right there. But because there's stakes everywhere and we're fighting on their side of the map, they get to use the Cav and we don't. And this is exactly the part of the battle where Prussian Prince's units being fresh and our units being not fresh from having run all across the map here cause us, determine the course of the game, really. You'd think that we're winning. We've routed these 2 units here, and here comes this Coldstream and this Foot Guard, and they start to shoot the fuck out of me. Look at that. I'm very tired. That unit is, they're very tired too. They have their generals near. We don't have our generals near because we can't run our generals across because of the stakes. And this is where the assault goes. The other thing that we didn't really appreciate is how useless these 3 units are going to be. They're all in the 30s or 40s. Well, 2 are in the 30s and 1's in the 40s. And what's going to be able to happen is this guard unit right here is going to be able to mow through everybody here. And they're going to do it in a really strong fashion. I've watched this replay, I think this is my 3rd time now, and I can't get over what a game changer these 2 units right here are. I mean, in a game with 80 units on the field, that is just fought tooth and nail. These two units really determine the entire course of the game. The entire course. There goes that first volley from him. There goes our first unit. We are in a really bad spot here, and I don't think that we really appreciated... I think these are like Riscard's last couple troops that he's firing down on. They're just worn out. I don't think we really appreciated what a bad situation we'd be in once we lose the right flank of this assault up the hill. I don't think we really appreciated that. Because this looks like a fair fight to me. It looks like, if anything, we should maybe be able to win. But the right side of our attack is just going to crumble here. It's just going to crumble. Not much to say about it. And we don't even deal that many casualties to them. Well, I guess they're down to 60. I think maybe I'm going to take that unit with me. Really bold move. Both Hamilton and Prussian Prince were using their generals for melee charges here. I felt personally that I got unlucky by not being able to kill him. I think I got in a square a couple times to kind of kill him, and I dealt casualties to the units, but of course he never hit the actual general himself. But this is the turning point. The Coldstream is able to turn on our flank right there, and then this foot guard, with the help from the charge from the general, is going to just able to rout my foot. I was down to 40 men anyway. I was dead. This is the end of the assault up the hill. They've won. At this point, our team makes a bold decision. Let me recap. We have the assault up the hill. We have my couple of units facing off now against Tavington's, and more guys are coming, so I'm going to lose here. They have pushed us. I didn't show you this part, but they have pushed us completely off the triangle, and I've withdrawn to a line there. And then we have Tripp over here. And Tripp at this point has kind of chosen to give up on making the assault, and he's moving his lights to this section of the field. What our team does here is we make a decision. See all those guys running? We decide that we can't make it, and our entire team starts to pull back. This puts me in a really awkward position because these three units here wind up getting trapped, and I believe... if I'm lucky, I think I get two of them out, but one of my units is certainly going to eat it just because once we withdraw, these three units get trapped in between Prussian Prince and Tavington. SK is able to pull these 6 or 7 units out, which is good. I'm able to pull my units back from this triangle area, obviously, but our entire team makes a break for it. Our entire team makes a break for it. This is a huge turning point in the game because if you just look at the map, we'd push them all the way across the river, all the way back there, and right on that hill they made this last stand where they just completely outgunned us and they outfought us on that hill. This leaves us in an awkward position, and what we're going to do, and where I want to pick you up next, is we retreat all the way back to this section of the map. We have to run all the way back to this, the entire length of the map is what we have to run back down. That's what we start to do. You're going to see more and more of our units start to go for it, and I will pick you back up in the next section once we've established the new lines. About an hour of time has elapsed, and this is the situation. If you look at the minimap, we're on the south side, or the bottom edge of the map right now. On the left side holding this crossing is myself. On the right side holding that bridge is SK. And facing us, moving across the ridge, moving across this area here, is Prussian Prince and Tavington. I think Prussian Prince outnumbers us a little bit right now, but I'm not really sure about that. This is the remnants of the armies that had that disastrous assault up the hill way over there, and we have ran all the way across the map. If I move you over here, we're kind of occupying this rightmost landmass, and covering the northern two crossings to it all by himself is Triphammer. And Triphammer is faced against the armies of C. James and Rusty. And we've taken up the position here, and essentially right now we're kind of like, All right, fuck you guys. We blew our load attacking. We're kind of gonna wait and force the issue on you, and they were game enough to take it. But in the meantime, what does happen is not much. The perk of being on this side of the map, however, is we get to use our cav now. See that? That's Riskard's cav, and I have 2 cav there. So we had 2 cav units that we quite literally were not able to get across the map because every entry point was staked up. And I feel like, well, they used all their cav. All their cav is dead now, but it kind of seemed a little fair to me that we needed to pull back to this side of the river so that we could at least get our cav up. And so, again, this is the situation after our withdrawal from the hill on the back left. And so we have occupied this southern position here, and Trip is occupying this position here against Rusty and C. James. Rusty and CJ do make a series of assaults against this crossing here, and it's our turn to shoot at them. They try this a couple times, and they get shot up pretty good. It's awkward right now because I'm not really sure that either side has enough resources to forcibly take a crossing from the other side, at least to do so profitably. Both teams are pretty even in number of units and number of men, and I guess the amount of ammo left. But you know, that's them making the move up and then coming back. They try a similar thing over this direction over and over. Actually, I'm omitting a few attempts. You know, CJ makes a couple moves down here. He makes a couple moves up here, and I'm omitting a handful of them. But that is what's going on. Over on our side, Marsh and I do eventually make a really terrible idea, and we do make an attempt to attack across this bridge that frankly goes, well, it's not a complete waste, but it's pretty much a disaster. I might show you footage of that later on. This is the third assault that Rusty has made across the river, and this is going to be, I think, the end of him. His attempt here, this is a unit without ammunition that Trip sends in to draw fire, and you can see they draw a ton of fire from all these guys. CJ moves in to support Rusty as best he can, but Rusty's going to move in and just get shot up. There's just way too many units on the right side of the bank for him to be able to handle. Way too many. CJ is game. He sends a depleted musketeer in as their own sort of meat shield, which was a really good play. A really good play, but what you're going to witness right now is just kind of the destruction of this group of units right here. We're able to do a few things that are good here. We have cav in the neighborhood, and this is the first time in the game that we're going to be able to deploy our cav in order to affect a part of the game. All quiet on this flank, and all quiet down south for SK and IR. This really is just the conflict to isolate and destroy this group of units right here. They do put up a heck of a fight. Trip's lights run out of ammunition during this engagement, but he's left with a fairly superior force. We were in a bit of an awkward position. We did want to get our cav in there, but we didn't want them to take a whole bunch of losses, and as they have a double line defense right there, we had to wait until we could isolate and neutralize them back down to one line. This is Trip putting up the counterattack right now. Gonna take some hits. And again, the ammo-less light infantry comes in to do their meat shield work. And everybody pushes everything they've got in at this point. Everybody pushes what they got. Here comes the cav. It felt really good to actually get our cav involved. And this is actually an important part of the battle, to get our cav involved, because they theoretically could have won this. I think that if Trip had moved across that water line naked, that he might not have made it. But when we push the cav in, we just get them into form square, and that lets us put up more firepower on them, and pretty much all we're able to do is, I just run the cav through him, and then I sit the cav over here, and as soon as he comes out of square, then I charge him again, and I think Riskard's cav is going to come through here in a second. And every time they pop out of square, the cav comes back, make them into square, pull the cav back out, and rinse and repeat for that. The good news for our team here is that, we're able to kill off this section of units here with some of ours left. That was a really important goal to accomplish right now. If this map is just so big and there's so many good defensible locations that they could have just, they could have done what we did and retreated to a better defensive line, so on and so forth. There goes Riskard's cav. But we kind of caught them in an area that they couldn't withdraw from. So Rusty and CJ put up a really good fight on this area. They just kind of ran out of guns, really, is kind of what happened. That's actually the story in every section of this map, to be totally frank. Yeah, and there's the end of that detachment from CJ. So the fight for that left bank there has gone our way. And what we have left here, these are bad guy units as well. This is still what's left of Rusty and CJ on the right side of the bank, and Trip's going to start pushing up on them. So what we've done up to now is, once again, back down here, Marsh and I are still staring off against Prussian Prince and Tavington. But up on the northern side, we have, it seems, are getting close to victory, if I might not speak out of turn. We've destroyed this detachment here, and we need to be able to do something about these men here, is what we need to be able to do. What is going to happen, and I'm going to save you about a half an hour of viewing time, is CJ is going to be able to pull his 3 line units out. Trip is going to reform, and then we are going to start moving down to this section of the battle. So the next, it seems like we've kind of sewn up this section of the battle, and the next phase of the battle is going to be an assault down here. The aftermath of the action on this sort of the field left C. James with a handful of units that he managed to squirt out of there and try to come down to flank us with. So these 2 musketeer units have shown up, one's a foot guard, but they've shown up on the rear of SK and I's position on the river. So SK and I have to put a few units out to go kill them. CJ has also got another unit that he's ran back there, but Triphammer's got him surrounded. So the strategic situation here is that these couple isolated units aren't going to be much of a problem. We are going to be able to wrap them up. There's just nowhere really productive for them to go. They, I guess, maybe should have made a break for it back north. And then Trip is also able to move units over this direction to get into... So this is where Prussian Prince and Tavington are holding up, or, where they're at. And so now that we've freed Triphammer's units, he's going to be able to come over this direction. And I believe Trip has a grand total of 9 units left that he's able to put into the fight. The other thing is, in an immediate concern, is we do need to get rid of that unit so that Trip's units can come over and help us make an assault across the river. And so what you're watching right now is myself and Marsh try to put a hit on CJ. I actually do something really smart. I'm going to show off for a little bit. See this little road right here in this ditch? I actually sit here for a while and let CJ shoot at dirt. I don't take a single casualty for about 4 or 5 volleys. I was really kind of impressed with myself that I managed to figure that out. And Marshall's following my lead right there with his guys. But I'm going to sit there and let these guys try to waste their ammo. No casualties, man. I rock. So that's what we're doing. But what we're trying to do is get good position just to take these 2 units out, and then we can move on and do something bad with them. I'm sure you remember... Yeah, you remember I mentioned earlier an assault that SK and I had tried to cross the bridge. That has already happened and failed spectacularly. It wound up costing us the rest of our cav, I believe, and I think SK lost a unit or 2 doing that, so that didn't go very well. Would have been better to hold them back. Good idea at the time, it seemed, but a bad idea overall. And we're just putting the finishings on C. James right there. So when I come back, Trip Hammer is going to have finished off that unit there, and we are going to make one last assault across one more river, and we're going to do that right here. So this is the last crossing over the last river, and I feel like I should be playing O'er the Hills in the background, because this game was fantastic and it was a grind. This is myself and Trip Hammer leading the charge across against the remnants of the Prussian Prince's army. That is the same fucking Coldstream Guard unit that you saw earlier in action on that hill about 2 hours ago in gameplay time. And nothing pretty. You just run up and you shoot at them and you do your best and you see what you can get away with. And we are doing that right here. Marsh is all set up to make his crossing across the bridge. Those units that are getting pulled off in our direction, we want to be able to flank them if we can. And then we're also getting ready to make the move there. Riscard has cav left that he is ready to throw into the battle. Once we're able to get over the bridge and kind of deploy into position, we're going to take some hits, but once we can stretch out into full firing line, we're going to be able to put a lot of firepower up that hill. I think that Prince is running real low on ammo. Ironically, a lot of the units that I had left at this point had a bunch of ammo, because the units that were still alive hadn't been used yet. Everybody that got committed to the battle already had already been wiped out pretty much. And it turns out that with the assist from a couple of Trips units that we're able to push across this area pretty good. Prince throws in the emergency general charge. That was a good play. I couldn't score with that unit, so he got a free one from me there. And this is it. This is the end. I mean, this is the end. I know that I cut a ton out of this battle, so you're going to miss a lot of the emotional impact of just having to sit through it to see the big climax. But this fight for this hill, everybody invested a ton of time into. And all 8 players are still alive at this point, one way or another. They're all able to participate in the game. And just a fantastic game. You know, the standard keeps getting upped. So we're able to wipe those units there. Marsh makes his move across the bridge. And then we're able to come across the river here. Tabington is going to go into the house with the few remaining units that they have. But other than that, you can tell from the little bar that we outnumber them pretty good. And we're able to take the game from there. So just great game, guys. I had a great time playing with you. And I know that the only people who are really going to enjoy this video are the guys who played in the game. Initially, this is my second attempt at recording this game. And the first attempt didn't go very well because the game was so long. But the guys who played were kind of like, "Nah, Jay, you got to get in there and do this game for us." So this is it. This is it, fellas. So just great game to everybody who played. Prince, Tav, Rusty, CJ on the other team, and then Wrist Trip, SK, and myself on this side of the map. But had a great time playing with y'all, and it really is worth it. This is what the game's all about. So we can see us. We got the house surrounded, and that is going to be the end of the game. So I'll pick you up in the final segment.